my name is Naya. I'm a content creator that creates content centered around mom life, relationships, self-care, family, and fashion. So if that sounds like you and you're interested in those topics, give me a follow. All right, let's get right into the content. So today I want to talk about breast pumps. So I tried 3 main breast pumps after giving birth to my baby, and I quickly realized that I had a favorite. Now, each breast pump serves a different purpose, and I want to talk about the pros and cons of each one and why I think the ones that I preferred work for me better. So the first breast pump I want to talk about is the Momcozy hands-free S12 wearable pump. This pump has this one kind of caught me by surprise, but let's go into the pros and the cons. So the pros of this pump is that it is wearable, so you get both of your hands to yourself, so you can do some laundry, wash some dishes, hold a baby, burp a baby, feed a baby, all the things. And it's convenient for work as well, so you can pop them on at work and sit at your desk and type an email, continue to work on your laptop. So it's convenient in that regard. I will say that the sound is not too loud, so it's a bit discreet. You can pop them into a pump bra, so a bra that expands pretty well because they are a bit bulky. So you stick them in, and clearly it's gonna look bulky, so it's not gonna be super duper discreet. Like, I don't know if I would just kind of like walk around a grocery store with them on, or like be in public and just like have these big things sticking out from my chest. But it's semi-discreet for sure. And then another pro is that it's very easy to use. Like the features, there's not a whole lot of buttons, so you adjust the vacuum suction, so you can make the intensity higher or lower depending on your comfort level. And it tells you how long it's been running for. So there's like a little timer on top. It tells you if it's been 1 minute since it's been running, or if it's been up to 30. But after 30 minutes, it automatically turns off because pumping past 30 minutes is a hazard for your breast health. So yeah, I would say that's pretty much the pros of the Momcozy S12 hands-free pump. Now, the cons of the Momcozy pump: number one, I would say it is more likely to leak some of your milk. It captures it well, but when you take it off, I notice that if I don't have an immediate rag like sitting under my boob ready to catch some of that milk under, it'll leak out into the bra. Another con is that they move. What I mean when I say that, when you pump, the milk that comes out makes them a bit more slippery. So they can move and shift off from the optimal point of suction. So you might place them perfectly in the beginning, but gradually as time goes on, they might like shift, and next thing you know, it's not directly on top of your nipple where you want the suction to be pulling the milk at the best of its ability. So that's been quite annoying. Another con is that sometimes, with me having an oversupply, sometimes I notice that it doesn't pull out the full amount of milk, and I think it might be a little bit related to the shifting, but it doesn't get me as empty as needed. So I noticed that because I wasn't able to fully empty using that pump, I would feel a lot more uncomfortable throughout the day until the next pump, until I could get like my full emptiness. So yeah, that was pretty annoying, because once you get comfortable with pumping, like how much to kind of expect each session. And if you know that this pump pulled out significantly less than what you're expecting, and then one boob probably produced and pulled out a lot more, it's a little bit disappointing, because it's like, okay, I just spent all this time pumping just for it to not pull out all of the milk that's needed. The next pump I want to talk about is the Medela hands-free manual pump. So this pump is actually the very first pump that I started with. I actually started with this pump prior to giving birth because I was trying to collect colostrum, and I learned that this pump was a bit more helpful with collecting colostrum. It didn't work for me, but I did try it. But shortly after birth, this was also my favorite pump because I realized that I had a better handle on collecting milk manually than I did from the wall pumps. And again, this is just my preference. So the pros of the Medela hand pump, I would say, is that you can control the suction pressure and you have a better handle on getting, you know, all of the milk out that you need. The second thing is that I think it's much better at getting out clogs. Clogs are a thing when you are breastfeeding and pumping. Maybe not everybody has that much negative experience with clogs, but if you do, I highly recommend the Medela hand pump because every time I had a clog, I always felt like I was able to get myself like fully empty using the Medela hand pump because the suction is pretty strong with it. So another pro is the suction. So you can control the suction so it can get as strong as you need it to by pushing it all the way down. And I feel like that was good for in terms of me and my body. Like it helped kind of get the flow going a bit better, and it was a bit different in terms of like the mechanical suction, which is a bit lighter and less controllable. Like you can angle it, you can angle the hand pump and like shift it and like support your boob with the other hand as you're pumping to get all of the areas that are feeling a bit full. You angle it so that you can make sure you get whatever area is still feeling full or stuck or clogged. So that's why I like that one. Every time I feel a clog, I pull out that pump and it is my best friend. So the cons of it, I would say the con number one is that it is definitely more time consuming. With a regular pump, to get my full empty takes me about like 10 minutes. With this pump, it takes me about 15 and sometimes longer depending on how my boobs are doing that day, like if they're cooperating with me. And then I would say another con is that it can be a little bit painful because of the way that it pulls on the nipple. Like I said, the suction can get pretty strong because you're pushing it all the way down, and the way that it uses the air to suction, it gets pretty strong. It gets pretty intense, I'm not gonna lie. So it can be a bit much for some people. Depending on your body, you might be a little bit more sensitive to the suction power. But again, you have control over it, so you don't have to push it all the way down to get that max suction of the milk. I would say the last con is that it tires you out. Like you might get a hand cramp if you're not used to it. Once you get used to it and you get that hand strength, then it's okay. But in the beginning, it is quite irritating. You know, it's like a little workout that you just don't want to do with your hands. So yeah, I would say that's the last con with it. I did think of another pro though. So I would say that is the easiest pump to clean. Like there's only a couple pieces and you wash it and then you're done. That one I kept in rotation at night when I needed a pump. I always had like wash that one and it would be the shortest amount of time, so I preferred that one at night for sure. One thing I would say, the noise level is like, it can be noisy, but at the same time it can be very discreet. It's like, it can be either or. There's not really one that it is more than the other, because sometimes like the pump can make a bit of a noise when it's like clicking and clacking when you're coming up to the end of a pump, but when you're in the meat of a pump, it is very silent. I think that's the best way to describe it, because as it's pulling the milk, there's really no noise other than the milk spray. But once you get to the end, it's like pulling air. So you hear that air gushing or swishing through the pump, and then it's kind of like clicking because you're pushing it all the way down to try to get all of the rest of the milk out. So yeah, in terms of discreet, it's it's not quiet, nor is it noisy. And then this is also something where you would need to do in the privacy of your home. So that is a con. You can't have your hands free. You very much so need almost both of your hands. You can do it one-handed, but in the beginning when you're learning, you definitely probably would need both of your hands available to figure it out and, you know, do what you need to do. The last pump I want to talk about is the Spectra S1. So this is the wireless wall pump. This one comes highly recommended, and I would say the pros of this one is the efficiency of it. So you hook up to it, and it is absolutely, in my opinion, the quickest pump. So if you're looking to pump very quickly and get all the milk out very quickly, this is the pump that you go to. I will say that another pro is being able to unplug it from the wall and have it set up on a table or in your lap or even on the floor, wherever you need to be to pump. That is a pro. Another pro is that there are bras that you can use to attach them to the boob to pump. So you can be hands-free, but you're still limited because you'll have to be seated, because there are like tubes connected to the pump in order to get that optimal suction from the machine. And then I would say another pro is the settings. So there's a lot of different settings available so that you can get your optimal comfort. So there's vacuum settings, and then there's cycle settings. So the vacuum settings adjust the intensity of the vacuum, and the cycle settings adjust the frequency of the vacuum. So that's very helpful because you kind of figure out what works for you, and that I would say was the most confusing in the beginning, but I had a lactation consultant kind of help me get started there, and I recommend the same for you because it is a bit difficult to find your sweet spot in the beginning, but you just try a bunch of different things and figure out what works for you, and it takes a while, but you'll figure out, you know, your best settings. So you just play around with it. Don't be scared. It's not intimidating and it's not scary. You know, there's no wrong way to do it. Just do it. So let's talk about the cons. So the cons is the limitation of mobility. You are seated. I mean, you could stand, but you wouldn't be able to move around because you have to carry around the big heavy machine. It is a bit noisy, but it's not super noisy. Like, I used to keep it in my bedroom, and my baby would be sleeping next to me, and she never really woke up from it. So it wasn't so noisy that it was like causing a disruption in the middle of the night while I was pumping. But it was noisy to the point where it's like you can hear it. Like, I can hear that, you know? Another con is that it can seem a bit intimidating. There are a lot of parts. So you have these tubes that connect to the pump, to the attachment parts, and then there's like suction pieces that you have to keep together, and then the like heads of the pieces, then the cups that you attach, then the valve, and then sometimes you have to also insert a flange to get like your right nipple diameter size. Like, it's pretty intense. it looks very intimidating, but once you learn it, it's not that scary. It definitely was scary in the beginning. I was like, oh, I do not want to use this pump. This is like, what is this machine? But after learning it, it has quickly become one of my favorites, especially when I'm in a rush for time and I want to, you know, be in and out with the pump. 10 minutes tops, put it on, take it off, dump the milk into a bottle, and you're good to go. Another con is all of the parts. There's a lot of parts, and not all of them need to be washed all the time. Like the hoses, milk never touches them. It's literally just for the suction portion. And then there's backflow protectors. Those don't really get touched by milk either, so I don't wash those that often. But the actual like attachment heads, the part where all the milk touches, obviously those get washed every single time that you use them. But like the actual like hoses and the suction materials that don't actually get milk in them, those I wash very infrequently, because it's not as necessary, because it's just air. But yeah, so that's my opinion on the Spectra S1. Which pump do I prefer the most? I don't know if it was obvious or not. I feel like I probably made it pretty obvious in this video, but my favorite pump is the Spectra S1. I feel like this is the most effective pump. You're in and out, you know? You get what you need to and you're done. You know, time is money. When your baby is crying and you need to get a quick pump, this is the pump for you. I will say that my favorite for the longest was the Medela Hand Pump, because with my oversupply, I don't know, in the beginning, that one just allowed me to have a better control over my oversupply. And it allowed me to get more milk out and much more quickly than the Spectra in the beginning. But once my milk supply leveled out and I was more comfortable and my hormones leveled out and I wasn't as much of an oversupplier as I was and in pain all the time, that's when the Spectra became my favorite. So I started out preferring the Medela hand pump, but then the Spectra shifted to be my favorite. Final thoughts. I just want to say, again, this is my preference. This is what works for me. This is what works for my body. Your body is different. Figure out what works for you. But I do recommend trying out different things and seeing what works best, because like one pump just doesn't always do it. And I don't want anyone to like give up on breastfeeding or pumping because they feel like, you know, oh, this pump is not working, so I must not be able to produce, or I must not be able to do this correctly, or oh, this is so frustrating. Try another one. You get a free, if you have insurance, you can get a free breast pump through insurance, or you can get one that's heavily discounted. So I got my Spectra S1 through my insurance, and they check in like monthly to see if I need new pump parts. So I always allow them to send me new pump parts, and the pump parts that they send is free through insurance. I used aeroflowbreastpumps.com. Once you sign up and you put in your information, they keep up with all that information and they check to see like what you can get through your insurance for free. I've gotten compression socks. I've gotten milk pads, like breastfeeding pads that you put in your bra to keep you from leaking in your bra or in your clothes. I've got several breast pump replacement parts, both for my Spectra S1 and my Momcozy hands-free S12. I think I've also gotten flanges. I've gotten milk storage bags. I've gotten a lot of things for free through Aeroflow, just checking to see like what I qualified for. I also got free classes and lactation courses and also baby courses through there. I did them virtually, which was also super helpful when you're trying to like take in as much information as possible before your baby comes. But yeah, that is all I have to offer surrounding this video. So if you have questions for me, drop them in the comments and let me know your thoughts. And I hope this helps somebody. Thanks for watching.